Hello, book two. As you could tell from the caption, this is the best friends partners tag. And you might be thinking, well, didn't you just do that? But tell me, if you had Deb as a best friend, wouldn't you want a do-over? I think so. So I found someone else, my friend Sam. And we're going to do the partners best friends tag, take two. This time, it's personal. And you haven't seen the questions.
No.
So, question number one, how long have you been best friends? How long have we been friends?
Okay.
You know, Deb knew to the month.
No, I know. It was...
I have no idea. Again, I have no idea.
It was 2000.
Good Lord.
It was the summer of 2000.
Okay.
Because that's when I started to work at Barnes & Noble.
Yeah, and apparently that is the linchpin of all of this, is when did you start working at Barnes & Noble? I guess that's the way... Do I remember Quarter Life Crisis?
Yes, I was, and...
There was a book called Quarter Life Crisis. It must have
right.
come out then.
It was an Oprah pick, or it was being featured on Oprah, so that was the big phrase, a quarter life crisis.
And the young people at the store were all talking about how they were going through quarter life crises.
You might have thought that Steve only ranted for the benefit of YouTube, but Steve used to go on 25-minute rants before YouTube existed. Before
the internet existed.
Before the internet. In the information booth of the Barnes & Noble in Downtown Crossing in Boston.
And you might think it would be bad customer service, but they loved it.
Customers would come and Steve would go, just a minute, and then he would go on an 8-minute rant while they waited to ask where their book would be.
All right, I'm not sure you all needed to know that.
It's hard to know what's gone wrong with Barnes & Noble, why they lost out to Amazon.
He's lying. These are all lies. I'm not responsible for the downfall of Barnes & Noble. And I wasn't responsible for the downfall of Laureates before that. This is just nothing to see here. It's all fake news. Question number two, who reads more? Deb had to give this one up, too. And it's because I read a freakish amount. But you read a huge amount.
I read a lot.
I mean, take the normal person, even a normal reader, you read far more than a normal reader.
I read, on a normal day, I read 3 to 4 hours a day, and then on an off day, I read 1 to 2. I never read less than that.
Question number three, do you ever argue or disagree about books?
We disagree. I don't argue.
Doesn't argue, no.
No. Because
even the disagreements, though, we've commented on this a couple of times, that a lot of times there's a lot more agreement than you might think.
Yes.
Considering how different our tastes are.
It's funny, when we disagree, it's more sort of like, oh, I'll have to rethink that, or I'll have to go back to
Always
that.
true for me, especially with contemporary fiction.
Yeah.
I've mentioned this on this channel, that you're the one who made me go back and look at Autumn by Ali Smith.
Oh, yeah.
So, I've lost count of how many times that's happened, where I've read a book and thought, there isn't much here, and then I either talk to you about it or I read your review of it and think, oh, all right, well, there was more there than I thought. Like, what's his name? Capital by Lanchester, the novel Capital, which I don't remember you particularly being over the moon about.
You know, that's a funny book, because all I saw were the flaws the first time I read it. There's flaw after flaw, but I continue to think about it.
I do too. And your discussion of the flaws
later
went deeper than my appreciation of the virtues.
Yeah.
Your discussion of the flaws made me think, wow, there might have been more to that.
Yeah, that's a book. That's an interesting book, because nobody has really tried to write that sort of book since. So you really appreciate it in the absence of other people trying to write about how money affects society.
Yeah, it's some of them try and do a terrible job of it. That came up on this channel just recently too. The whole role of money in contemporary fiction, especially normal money. Not freakish inheritances or multi-million-dollar jobs, but a job you have to go to every day.
Right.
And you need that paycheck at the end of the week, and you don't have any savings.
Right. And
that kind of thing.
And real-life accountings, where you have to keep your receipts and you have to...
Yes, but not either end of the spectrum. So not Appalachia, and also not half the characters in Capital.
Right.
All venture, all multimillionaires.
Right.
But the huge majority of the population is in the middle.
Just the normal...
You never see in fiction, or almost.
Spend a few hours.
trying to kill my guest and eat his body. Not very good as a puppy. Let's see here. Question number 4. Oh, God. Who buys the most books? We're two of the worst people to get this question. Because we don't buy our books. How often do you buy a book? Ever?
I like to buy a used book once in a while. I like to go to the Strand.
He's got access to the Strand. It's very nearly as good as the Brabble.
But not all that often.
No. Well, it's hard to justify it when you have the whole run of books. As many as you can read. If you have as many books as you can read without buying them, then it's hard to justify buying them. But I should hasten to add that that's not as parasitical as it sounds. We both earn our keep. Right? I mean, it's not that we're being showered with books. We write about them. I don't know why I get defensive about that. Must be the Irish Catholic roots. Okay, question number 5. I took a beating on when I did this with Deb, and it's going to happen again. Who has the best taste in books? You're going to be nicer about it than Deb was, but still, the answer is the same, I'm afraid. I will read anything. I go rooting through the soft loam of the forest floor in search of truffles. But I read a lot. I'd be willing. I'm happy to cede this to you. You have the better taste of the two of us.
Yes.
See, you stop trying to kill him.
You pick up scraps on the ground.
Literally and figuratively.
Yes.
We don't have to address that. I don't want to raise horror stories. Let's see here. Question number 6. Do you share books?
Well, when I'm here, I will take a stroll through Steve's bookshelves.
But it's not really sharing because he'll just take one.
I'll just take one. Yes.
I don't want.
Yes, that is the understanding, and that's something. Maybe I would have done it anyway, but that's a habit that I've adopted or that I share in any case. I don't like the borrowing sort of thing.
No, if somebody sees something, you just give it to them, unless you say no.
And because similarly, I'm happy when I get rid of books that I have. It's a good feeling. I'm glad, and if I'm getting rid of it by giving it to somebody, that's the best.
Yeah, especially if somebody's having a feeling about it that you don't have.
Yeah,
yeah.
So it's one, someone else gets a book from you, and 2, you've gotten rid of a book. That's 2 good things. So that's great. Yes, no, I don't want anyone to give it back.
Question number 7: do you read together or apart? You read apart.
What do you mean read together?
I know, Deb didn't understand that either. I think the question might be aimed at married couples.
I'm married. I don't read. We don't
you
read together.
You don't read together, no. Okay, then I don't understand this question at all. so we'll just move on. Question number 8: how many books in an average month do you read?
Okay, let's see.
Can you use the quick math?
I think it's probably something like
my guess would be
15
20
or 16. I don't think it is quite 20.
Not quite 20.
No, I think it's more like 15 or 16. Sometimes more if they're short, sometimes fewer. That's good. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is more, but I don't think so.
Just emailing you, I get the impression it's more than that.
But I'm not sure.
Or are you talking about finishing?
I'm talking about finishing.
Okay.
Yes. I read a lot that I quit on because I don't have time. I'm not going to review it. I'm not going to write about it. So I have to be
most of the book critics that I know do that. They, as you put it, they read into a book.
Yeah.
They'll get a book and they give it as much time as it needs to convince them one way or another whether or not they're going to write about it. I don't do that because I read more and faster, so I can give the book the whole of its length.
You can read the whole book.
Especially since sometimes, it happens all the time. It happens at least 10 times a year. A book will really pull out of a tailspin at the last minute, or at least it seems that way.
Yes,
to me.
I know. It's that
and you miss that.
That's
the one thing you miss.
That's a lurking worry. No, it definitely. I'm sure it happens where the thing just starts slow and then it really picks up.
That's rare, I bet. So
I think it's somewhat rare. I think generally you can see if the author's got something going on right from the start. But yes.
Once again, my own total for November is going to be unbelievable. Just frankly unbelievable. I am hoping to it'll be in the triple digits. It's not worth talking about, but it's all I do. I wanted to stress that the last time I said this, but I think you're all used to it by now. But I wanted to stress it's all I do, just from for a long time every day. So the numbers aren't quite as unbelievable as they seem.
I feel I can talk pretentiously about 25 a month, but I only read about 15.
Well, but which of those is more important?
It's hard to say.
If you live in New York,
yeah.
it's all important to be able to talk pretentiously about it.
Yes. The mailman turns the other way.
You are the least pretentious talker about books that I know of. And aside maybe from... I'm probably not very pretentious talking about them myself. Especially novels, because when I talk about novels, all I'm talking about is, well, what trick did you pull on page 25? Well, what about the yacht? It's 30 feet long on page 10, and on page 150, it's 70 feet long. And stuff that novelists don't want me to talk about, but it's not pretentious anyway. Question number 9, are you competitive in your reading?
I was. There was a time when I was extremely competitive. I think I'm sort of beyond that now. I don't. Competitive with who?
Yeah, I guess the question would be, are you competitive with the other person in the tag?
Oh, with you? Oh, no. Good. I've given up on that. But, I wonder... I don't know if I've ever been competitive with you, but there was a time when I just felt that I thought that I would just become the best read person in the world. That was like an inner motivation. That was something I wanted.
Do you ever
so
feel...
then I didn't... And then when I realized that was absurd folly, and then I didn't like it when I would meet people who were much, much better read.
But what about if we were to repurpose this question just a bit for our own profession?
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever feel competitive with another book reviewer?
About who reads the most?
Once your review is done, and so you can go and read theirs, do you ever feel competitive about what they noticed that you didn't?
Yeah, oh yeah,
or
definitely.
the kind of a job they did?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
I wish I didn't, but I do. If I review something, and it's not always anything you can do about it. Both of us review for newspapers, so we have almost no word count, 800 words.
Yeah. So
you then read, Christian Lorentzen doing something at 3,000 words in the London Review of Books, and he's doing a great job, a much better job. I always give myself the sop of saying, wow, how good would he be at 850 words?
I know, but it's always an excuse when he said that.
It is.
Even when you say that, you go, oh yeah, but
the points are still better.
it still means that person was onto something that you didn't quite. That was better than what you were onto. That's a good way of being competitive, I think.
Oh, yeah, because it forces you to...
You want to not write a bad review.
I feel it all the time when I read you. Especially if on the rare occasions where we review the same novel. That's just a cold chill of horror. Because I save it and wait. I don't wait on anybody else. I'm not like a lot of critics who can't read reviews of a book before they write their own.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind doing that at all. But I don't read yours until I'm done.
Uh-huh.
And then it's usually just a wince fest. I'm thinking, oh yeah. I guess they both were blind. I wasn't really paying attention to something like that. Or, oh yeah, he's missing his left leg and she's missing her right leg. Well, deeper stuff than that. But that's the only kind of competitiveness that I feel when reading is... I think I mentioned this when I did this with Deb. The only kind of competitiveness I feel is towards other critics. Where I've reviewed a book and then I see that it's reviewed in the new TLS and I think, okay, here we go. Or even worse than the TLS, the New York Times Book Review, where the word count can sometimes come close to your own.
Right.
And then you think, okay, all right, so aside from the 2 paragraphs of plot summary that both of us had to do, what kind of a job did you do versus the kind of job I did?
But it's fun to read that way, too, even if you have nothing to do with writing. If you're not writing about the book, it's sort of a who wore it best sort of thing. Like,
here's a bunch of people writing, but... Sorry, I'm being mauled.
A bunch of people writing about the same thing, like who got
did the
it.
best job.
Who got it.
Yeah, even if you're not in the running. I felt that just recently with
the
Stephen Ferry translation of the Aeneid,
uh-huh.
which for some weird reason I didn't write about anywhere, but everybody else did. So I got to read all those reviews and see, all right, who did a better job here?